The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Heightened rhetoric and emotions ahead of the November 8th midterm elections are behind Bexar County's increased emphasis on election security, keeping both voters and election workers safe.
And just as county commissioners were talking about this very issue, word came that someone overnight shot out a window at the local Democratic Party headquarters.
Jesse Degollado says, as it turns out, that wasn't the only storefront hit at a retail center along Fredericksburg Road.
The surveillance video shows a vehicle slowing down and a shot fired at a front window, the impact shattering the double-paned window at the Jimenez Panaderia and Coffee Shop. Next door, the damage was much the same at the Bexar County Democratic Party headquarters. Its window had been shot out as well. But there was only a small hole in the window of a campaign headquarters on the other side of the Panaderia. But since the Bexar County Democratic Party window wasn't the only one shot at, there was this one and another one down the way. Was it the primary target or just one of three? His campaign office on the end may have sustained the least damage, but Joe Gonzalez says he was speaking out as a district attorney in defense of Bexar County Democrats.
I am deeply disturbed by this act of political violence.
Then again, pending the investigation.
It could be pure random acts of violence, and that's certainly possible.
And certainly more than a coincidence, says the Bexar County Democratic chair, finding what she called unpleasant messages and her volunteers being harassed and followed.
The party has seen this type of act, not to this extent.
There were gunshots at the Democratic headquarters last night. I mean, this is real.
To Jackie Callanan especially, given the threats and intimidation she says have targeted her and her election staff. If they have now crossed the line and broken the law, says Sheriff Javier Salazar.
That's not something we'll allow.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
New at 6, was it self-defense or cold-blooded murder? That is what a jury will have to decide this week as Richard Vallejo stands trial. Vallejo accused of the June 2020 murder of Andrew Gomez in East Bexar County. Erica Hernandez takes us inside the courtroom for opening statements.
The prosecution and the defense laid out their cases this morning in Richard Vallejo's murder trial. Vallejo is accused of shooting 27-year-old Andrew Gomez 6 times when he went to Vallejo's home to repossess unpaid tires. The prosecution says surveillance video from Vallejo's home shows him showing up at the home, exiting his vehicle with a gun in his hand, and approaching Gomez, who was sitting at a table with Vallejo's father.
Gun still in his hand, and he says, "You want to be threatening me, bro?" And Andrew responds by putting his hands up and saying, "You're the one with the gun, bro. I don't have a gun." And then the defendant shoots him.
As for the defense, they are saying this is all a case of self-defense and that the victim, Andrew Gomez, was the one actually threatening Vallejo.
He went over there to administer a beating. He was going to teach my client a lesson about not paying his bill and not doing what he was supposed to do. So when the evidence is going to show that when Richard Vallejo got that message, he freaked out.
Text messages between Vallejo and Gomez and the surveillance video will all be shown to the jury during this trial. If the jury does find Vallejo guilty, he is facing 5 to 99 years or life in prison. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
San Antonio police looking for some tips that will help them catch a couple murder suspects involved in a home invasion that was deadly. It happened last month on the north side of the city. Investigators say 29-year-old Jacoy Grant was shot and killed after 2 men forced their way into his apartment over on Henderson Pass near Thousand Oaks. That was back on July 23rd. Police say the 2 masked men pistol whipped Grant before shooting him 1 time. When officers made it to the scene, Grant was dead and the suspects were long gone. Anyone with information in this case that leads to an arrest could be eligible for a cash reward from Crime Stoppers. Their number 210-224-STOP.
Was it an Easter shakedown by law enforcement at a county park or a simple misunderstanding? The answer will play a big role in determining whether Michelle Barrientos Vela is ultimately convicted of tampering with evidence. Dylan Collier has more from day 1 of the ex-constable's trial.
Tuesday morning, for the first time, we learned the specific allegations against Michelle Barrientos Vela and her handling of Rodriguez Park receipt logs. prosecutors say on Easter 2019, a uniformed Barrientos Vela and deputies from her office confronted a man who had rented one of the park's pavilions and demanded cash in exchange for security. After the Texas Rangers became aware of the incident and subpoenaed the then constable for security payment records, Barrientos Vela is accused of tampering with them, using different colored pens to create her own set of logs. Her attorneys say the prosecution has not been truthful about its intentions and that they found alleged wrongdoing by the elected office holder due to political pressure.
Now, she presented you a set of facts. But that set of facts is not what's going to be seen by the evidence.
The county's head of Parks and Recreation said the dust-up happened on the park's busiest day and that the man accosted by the constable had followed the proper procedures while renting the space.
It's Easter, so we try to accommodate everybody as best we can.
This was just a handful of what could be dozens of witnesses called to the stand before this trial comes to an end. Barrientos Vela also faces multiple counts of official oppression as part of the same indictment. Reporting outside the Bexar County Justice Center, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
And testimony is expected to continue tomorrow morning. You can watch the entire proceedings on KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, or on the KSAT YouTube channel.
San Antonio police asking for help finding a man they believe may be in danger, and he hasn't been seen in more than 2 weeks now. This is who they're looking for, 33-year-old Shannon Michael Calloway. Calloway last seen on August 8th near West French Place and I-10. Officers say he may have been recently in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you know where Calloway is, you are asked to call the missing persons unit at SAPD. That number 210-207-7660. If you're not in San Antonio, you can call your local police department.
In Uvalde this evening, the city council there was discussing a permanent memorial for the Robb Elementary School victims. As our Lee Waldman reports, they are also voting on amending city code for the victims' graves at Hillcrest Cemetery.
Uvalde City Council is aiming to pass an ordinance to allow the families of the Robb victims to memorialize their graves how they see fit. Right now, Uvalde City Code states that all graves at Hillcrest Cemetery must have markers in accordance with the filed plans and be below the surface so they don't interfere with the mower. Tonight, council hopes to exempt the victims of the Robb Elementary shooting from this rule and give families more freedom. On top of this, council is going to consider an agreement with the mobile-based security system SaferWatch. According to its website, SaferWatch is a 10-in-1 emergency response application that modernizes communication with first responders. It goes on to say its technology connects citizens with law enforcement in seconds, saving time during critical incidents. With the Robb Elementary shooting, time to respond and stop the shooting has been a major topic of discussion at these city council meetings. We'll get more details on how the city plans to move forward tonight and bring you the details on the Night Beat. In Uvalde, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Back here in San Antonio, police and fire are two of the biggest parts of the city's annual budget, making up more than 60% of the city's general fund combined. Council members discussed the two departments at a budget meeting this afternoon, and Garrett Berger tells us the city has plans to add even more officers and firefighters.
Although both police and fire budgets are going up this year, they're taking up a smaller portion of the general fund than in years past. But both departments are looking to add uniform positions, especially police. The police department is still waiting on a staffing study to determine how many officers it needs. But for now, the proposed budget has 78 new SAPD officer positions, 28 of them supervisory positions for the plant substation on St. Mary's Street. The other 50 tied to a federal grant, though the police chief says they can still afford most of those positions if they don't get the grant money. But those patrol officers will be used based on the recommendations that a UTSA study into violent crime prevention comes up with.
It will not be one team. They'll be distributed throughout the city because there'll be certain areas throughout the city that we will be focusing on and for a variety of reasons. So these 50 officers would be part of that group that does that.
The fire department also wants to add 21 uniform positions, 15 for a platform truck and 6 for a medical responder team. Now, the council is expected to vote on a final budget in mid-September. If you want to learn more, there are several town hall meetings around the city. We've got information on when and where on our website, KSAT.com. At City Hall, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Take a look at traffic out there this evening. This is the camera I-35 at Ben Zingelman. No real issues to tell you about here, but we did just scan around. They changed the view on us here just seconds ago. But Highway 90 at Medio Creek, there is a big accident there that it is causing a backup. We might be able to get you a view of that a little bit later, but something to know if you're heading through that area or waiting on somebody who is. 23 counties in Texas now under a disaster declaration after severe flash flooding. Governor Greg Abbott signing that declaration today. In Dallas, you've seen the pictures. A 60-year-old woman there died after she was swept away by floodwaters. The Fort Worth Fire Department is reporting the second greatest 24-hour rainfall in DFW history, more than 9 inches of rain, along with nearly 200 high water rescues and 500 calls for service.
Being Texas means being responsive to challenges like this. And so I want to commend the mayor as well as the entire city staff, as well as others around the entire region for responding so prolifically to the enormous challenge that they dealt with yesterday.
Damage in these areas affected will be surveyed and then that information sent to FEMA to determine if they need to be deployed.
Meanwhile, a live look outside with live cam on this Tuesday evening. Clouds out there, a much drier commute home this evening.
Oh yeah, quite a difference, right, compared to what we had yesterday, which caused some issues on the roadways, but it was some good rainfall. You look at the radar now and you saw the live cam, some clearing, a little bit of blue in the sky. Off to the west, a few highly isolated little showers. Elsewhere, a few spritzes and sprinkles, and that's it. Nothing else on the radar screen across our area. And we only have a 20% chance. I would even argue maybe a 10% chance this evening on into the nighttime hours, all the way through the morning commute tomorrow. I do anticipate a little uptick in the rain chances for the morning commute, but pretty slim chances for the rest of the evening and tonight. As for temperatures, right now we're at 89. It's our high temperature so far today. Calm breeze by 8 o'clock, about 83 degrees, 10 o'clock, 78, and midnight will be at 77. Still more opportunities for rain. We'll show you that, go over the future cast, and talk about temperatures for the rest of the week and into the weekend coming right up.
Welcome back. I'm Stefania Jimenez, and here's what we're working on for you tonight on the Night Beat. We tackle the topic of student loans, the White House's potential plan to erase some of that debt, and why it could cause more harm than good. An economic analyst breaks it all down for us. Also, Bexar County deputies sickened by COVID-19. It even put one man in a coma. So here's a question. Why are so many deputies being denied their COVID benefits? KSAT investigates and speaks with one deputy's wife and the sheriff. We'll see you for these stories and a lot more tonight on the Night Beat.
All right, Stephanie, we'll see you tonight at 10. New at 6, teachers and students are not the only ones going back to school. Librarians across Texas and San Antonio also starting their new school year, but a lot of them caught in a heated debate over library books and what students should have access to in Texas public schools. RJ Marquez spoke with a longtime local librarian about the challenges they are facing this year and the message they want to send to parents.
We spend a lot of time curating a great collection that reflects the diversity of our libraries.
Lucy Podmore is starting her 16th year as a San Antonio school librarian.
Our goal as school librarians, of course, is to always create this magical library experience that really enhances a school experience.
But last year was one of the most challenging years for librarians because many were caught in the middle of a book battle that involved state politicians, parents, and districts.
We faced a lot of challenges over the last year with the increase in censorship and efforts around that in our Texas schools.
Shirley Robinson with the Texas Library Association said Republican lawmaker Matt Krause's push to review more than 800 books in school libraries last year put them in a tough spot.
There's not a good reason to remove books from shelves that have been placed there by qualified, trained librarians using professional review services.
Podmore says many of her colleagues were criticized and some were attacked online and on social media.
If you're following your district policy and you are curating materials that reflect your community, You should feel safe.
Both said there are already policies in place at school districts for parents to talk to librarians or school officials if they have a question about a book. They feel the issue became more political than educational, but getting back to basics is their focus this school year.
The librarians work hard within their community. They know their community, and they're trying to find characters in the books that they're putting on the shelves that reflect their community.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Let's go to Sky 12 now, taking a look outside the south side of San Antonio, the San Antonio River there. A little more water perhaps in it today than yesterday. Things, even just with that amount of rain, look greener. Is it me?
I don't think it's you.
It feels a little better.
It feels better.
Except for all that mold out there now.
Well, yes, there is that.
Yeah, that counts up at over 14,000. Mold is very high, and that's a side effect of getting rainfall, unfortunately, is you get the mold as well, but it's a small price to pay for what we need. And I've got a really neat map showing you the amount of rain across the entire state since Friday. And we'll get to that in a moment, but let's start with our rain chances. About 40% the next couple of days. So that's the coverage across our area, 30 to 40% coverage in terms of the activity. So up to the scattered category. And the threat of flooding has really dropped. We're not anticipating any real flash flood issues going forward, mainly just some light to moderate quick hit or miss showers, and then lower chances into the upcoming weekend. This is nice to see. Between yesterday and today's rain in Timberwood Park, just about 2 inches there. Haha, that is nice. That's what we needed. And we're getting some good rain, not just here, but across the state. Of course, as you saw, a DFW area, too much of a good thing, coming in a short amount of time. But you look at the Doppler radar estimates since Friday, and I know you see some holes out here. These are kind of radar dead zones in far west Texas and southern New Mexico. But it did rain in these parts of West Texas and New Mexico. But this is just since Friday, the rainfall. And for a drought-stricken state, this is going to have a big impact on the drought monitor, which is updated every Thursday, but not all of this data will necessarily feed into the new drought monitor. Sometimes it takes a few weeks to really see everything change. But around here we have, of course, some high amounts of rain and some low amounts. We get to New Braunfels to San Marcos, little zone of basically a donut hole there of lack of rain. Locally, around here right now, well, we have a few highly isolated stray showers. Medina County, Uvalde County, pretty much coming to an end, and that's all we're really finding on the Doppler radar right now. Most of the activity has been moving through Louisiana into Mississippi as well, and that's pushing eastward. That's where we have the main circulation with this system. But we still have a boundary overhead, and this boundary can still help us out in the days ahead. I think our best coverage for rain was yesterday. I don't think we'll see as numerous showers and thunderstorms, but still, this gives us the opportunity for at least a few more showers to pop up. Here's a look at our futurecast, and I want to stress, this isn't exactly, it hasn't had the best track record over the past couple of days. But one thing I agree with this futurecast is that it flares up a few more showers as we get it toward the morning commute tomorrow. Exact placement, I think, is fairly up in the air, but it is indicating a few of them to pop up. So we could have a few showers out there for the morning commute and then tapering off by the noon hour, midday, and into the afternoon. Just a couple of pop-ups again, developing here and there, especially if we squeeze in a little extra sunshine and warm up a little bit more. Those locations would have a little better chance of developing some of those pop-up showers. Speaking of clouds, they've cleared on out here over the past couple of hours. So far, our high temperature, 89 degrees, the average being 95, the record 104. And over the past 2 days, just over a quarter of an inch of rain officially at the airport, but other parts of town, we're talking a couple of inches of rain, but officially about a quarter of an inch, just over a quarter. So another day under 100. I have to share this with you. We're still at 58 100-degree days so far this year. That puts us in second place. We've been in second place for a few weeks. We are 1 day away from first place at 59, set back in 2009. 7-day forecast keeps us well below 100. 89 right now, dew point is 70. It's sticky, so it feels like it's 5 degrees warmer than the air temperature. Rio Medina's 88, Bulverde or 85, around Canyon Lake 83 degrees, and Cotulla now at 84, Beeville at an even 90. And here's your KSAT 12-hour forecast. We start the day tomorrow at 75. Up to about a 40% chance of those showers, so definitely not everybody's going to see it, but some pockets of rain possible here and there. And then mostly cloudy with some breaks in the clouds periodically through the noon hour and even into the afternoon. High temperature tomorrow, about 89 degrees. We'll be up into the upper 80s, near 90 again. That's 88 Helotes, 91 in Floresville and Nixon, and about 89 for the high in Canyon Lake. Into next week, still under 100. So close, you can't quite get it.
I think we'll get there.
You have hope, huh?
Yeah. I don't think we're done yet. Thanks, Adam.
All right, if you're looking for something to eat tonight and you still need your tickets to the KSAT Pigskin Classic, Greg Simmons is joining us live from a place where you can take care of both items.
That's right. Yeah, dinner and a ticket. By the way, this is the hottest ticket in town. The manager at this Las Palapas, which is in Alamo Ranch, told me they ran out. He had to go down the street, find another Las Palapas, and bring some more back here. So just days away from the KSAT Pigskin Classic 2022, presented by your San Antonio area Chevy dealers. We'll get you ready for that. Plus, meet the newest running back for the UTSA Roadrunners. Come on. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome live to the Las Palapas here in Alamo Ranch, located just outside 1604 at Culebra. And we're going to get you ready for the KSAT Pigskin Classic 2022, presented by your San Antonio area Chevy dealers. There's a few days left to purchase tickets, but first. Now that the fall camp is ended, the UTSA Roadrunners are in full countdown to kickoff mode as they are just 12 days away from their season opener against Houston in the Alamo Dome on Saturday, September the 3rd at 2:30. One of the new faces you will see on the field this year is running back Traylon Smith. The Arkansas transfer will have a chance to replace Sincere McCormick, who decided to turn him pro after rushing for almost 600 yards with 5 touchdowns for the Razorbacks last year.
Coming in, I had to learn fast, and I got the playbook down. I picked up everything pretty fast, so just coming in, transferring, being a new guy. Yeah, I'm the new guy, but I'm ready to work. I'm here to, I'm a leader. I feel like I'm a leader, so I'm just here to work and do my job.
He'll have a smile on his face at all times. He loves to play football. He loves life, and he's just a great kid to have in the locker room and a really good little back.
Big announcement made today. World-class tennis is headed to the Freeman Coliseum with the inaugural Thomas J. Henry All-American Cup that will be played November the 11th through the 13th. Will feature 2 teams of 5 players each, with Bob and Mike Bryan, the winningest doubles teams in ATP history, serving as captains in the 3-day event. The number 1 ranked American Taylor Fritz will be on the USA West squad, and John Eisner, a former top 10 ATP Tour star, will be on the East.
This is going to be a big deal. I think team competitions are very special in tennis with the Davis Cup, and now you have the Laver Cup, but this could be one of the big 2 or 3 events in tennis. It's going to showcase the American talent, and we have so much here. 13 players in the top 100 in professional tennis, and 10 of them are playing.
The players are really going to get into it. These are players that have been playing against each other for many years. In the juniors, they compete for Davis Cup spots, they compete for Olympic spots, and here's another big competition where they're competing for their coast.
All right, tickets go on sale September the 3rd at 9 a.m. All right, we kick off the 2022 Texas high school football season this week. Thursday is the first set of games at 3. Friday night, of course, the first full Friday, and of course is the KSAT Pigskin Classic 2022, presented by your San Antonio area Chevy dealers on Saturday in the Alamo Dome. So our big game previews today take us to Clemens High School, which is Buffalo country. The Buffs are looking for a bounce-back season after finishing 2-8, 2-5 in that very difficult District 27-6A. That includes Steele and Judson. Coming off their worst season in 9 years, Clemens went 0-10 in Jared Johnston's first season as head coach. Now has 12 starters back, 6 each on offense and defense. That includes linebacker Evan Tapp, who was an all-district pick and team's leading tackler and defensive end / linebacker Travian Smith with 82 tackles and 5 sacks, also an all-district selection.
It's a lot of competition. That's what you want as an athlete, is to compete. And so being in this district really makes you go out there and play your hardest and see what you're all about.
We had a couple injuries and stuff, but right now, really just getting our team back together, coming all together as one family. I think this year we'll do a whole lot better. We got connected a lot.
All right, the Buffaloes kick off this season on Friday at 7 p.m. at Linhoff Stadium against Madison. You only have a few days left to purchase your tickets. They're just $15 to the KSAT Pigskin Classic 2022 presented by your San Antonio area Chevy dealers. And they're available at all Las Palapas locations. Live from Las Palapas in Alamo Ranch, Greg Simmons, KSAT 12 Sports.
Get the puffy taco plate and the tickets.
That's right. Our KSAT Q&A with Mayor Ron Nierenberg is up next. From a proposed $3.1 billion budget to the idea of possibly getting money back from CPS Energy. A lot to talk about with San Antonio Mayor Ron Nierenberg today, who was our KSAT Q&A guest. Mayor, good to see you. We want to start with CPS Energy because we've got some news aside from the idea of potentially getting money back. Rudy Garza, interim president and CEO of CPS, will be taking on that position full-time, permanently. So talk about what led into that decision.
Sure. Well, the search firm was engaged by the board and the organization to start developing the profile of the next permanent CEO. At the same time, obviously, Rudy Garza has been our interim CEO, has been doing a stellar job. So we had to check in, as we do as part of the search process, to discuss next steps. And from my perspective, the profile that was built, the consensus that was formed from the input in that process really revealed that Rudy Garza has been exemplifying the kind of leader we want to see going forward, addressing the challenges internally and externally of the organization, stabilizing some of the things that have created a rocky environment for energy systems around the country, and ultimately having a vision for the future. So the next step is we enter into discussions with Rudy as the finalist for that position. And if we can come to terms on a contract, then he will be our next permanent CEO after board approval. But right now we're going on to the next steps, and that's where we are today as a board, is discussions with Rudy about possibly filling that permanent role.
And Mayor, sticking with CPS here for a moment, as you guys are working on the budget for next year, there's been talk about CPS having a windfall, some of that money coming back to us. We're all having very high bills this summer. What is the potential for a rebate for customers?
Now, that is the recommendation of the city manager, and I support it. There's still some discussion going on at the council. The challenge is this: the extraordinarily high bills that people have been experiencing all across the state are really the result of surging gas prices. And so all of those pass through, or frankly, a large part of that passes through directly to the gas companies that produce the electricity for energy companies across the state. So those are in the forms of profits that people won't receive back and are not even part of CPS revenue. But as part of the CPS revenue, there's a 14% share that goes to the city that does things like pave streets and all this other stuff that we enjoy as city services. So because of that high revenue, there is an additional increment that the city has received, and where the proposal is to send some of that back. State statute prevents us from discriminating between classes of customers, commercial, et cetera. So if we are going to rebate some of that money that people paid back as a result of those high bills, it has to go back the way it came in. So that's the proposal. And on average, it's about $30. Higher energy users are going to get more in a rebate, obviously. And folks can opt out as well if they would like it to contribute their rebate to programs that help lower income customers. And certainly we would love to see that happen. But if we do the rebate, it will go back to where it came in. And again, not with those gas profits that were already taken out of those revenues.
And of course, this is just part of the budget proposal that is still being worked on by council. I believe September 16th is when it is supposed to be voted on. So we'll see what all shakes out between now and then. But part of that budget proposal includes a property tax cut rate. So can you explain what is being proposed there and how it coincides with state requirements?
Well, one of the priorities of me and my colleagues over the years has been to provide relief in any way we possibly can for the increasing cost burden of residents across this community. And that is a result of higher property assessments that are creating higher tax bills for people. So we're looking at ways that we can reduce that. And that's part of our policy discussion every year. This year, we're going to be reducing the tax rate more than we anticipated because, again, property revenues have come in so high because of those assessments. We're also going to be raising exemptions on the homestead. It's going to go from 0.01% to 10%. We're increasing the amount of the property that's going to be exempted for seniors over 65 from $65,000 of the property to $85,000. We're also increasing the disabled exemption. So there's going to be a comprehensive suite of tax relief to help those, hopefully, that need it the most. But everyone will see some sort of tax reduction, and that includes a lowering of the tax rate across the board for the city's portion of the bill.
Of course, a big chunk of the budget, perhaps the biggest, is first responders, public safety. You guys are actually talking about adding more police and firefighters this time around.
We are, and we have to. We're a growing city, and what this organization has accomplished, it hasn't been easy, but we have gotten there, is that we finally now have financially structurally balanced department budgets. And so as the city grows, so will the department budgets. And that is true happening in the police department. We're adding 50 to actually 78 officers if you include some of the grant funded positions. We will be adding a ladder truck and unit to the fire department. So the resources that go into public safety are going to be going up and increasing this year as part of a healthy budget. And so we're looking forward to deploying that and again, fighting fires, keeping people safe, fighting crime in this community, which are all the number one job of the city organization.
A proposed $3.1 billion budget for the city of San Antonio. Mayor Ron Nierenberg will be following it in the next couple of weeks to see what happens. Thanks for your time here tonight.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great night.
We'll be right back.
New at 6, you could call the timing ironic or perfect. Just before the COVID pandemic, UT Health San Antonio started a study. Pediatric doctors in rural Texas were tasked with tracking the effect of telemedicine on infants, particularly measuring if these virtual visits could result in a decrease in antibiotic usage. Ursula Perry reports that study obviously became a very real-world test when telemedicine visits and COVID collided, and we can now see those results.
Parents of newborns in many parts of rural Texas have just two choices. When problems arise, they can drive or call an ambulance to get specialty care, or they can get it over the phone or over a camera.
That was one of our aims, was to see if a phone call or running your ideas by a specialty provider could help you feel better about not giving antibiotics that may not be necessary. We wanted to see if we could reduce that, and it turns out we can.
It was an important test because in the past, doctors prescribed antibiotics at the very first sign of a potential infection, sort of a erring on the side of caution approach. But studies show that antibiotics in newborns can set them up for failure later.
At a tissue level, you're changing the normal flora of that baby. So the normal healthy bacteria they get from mom, they get from being held by mom and dad, they get from breast milk. You eradicate all that. And what's left is really aggressive, potentially drug-resistant bacteria that are just jonesing for a fight.
The 3-year study, which was published this month, shows of the nearly 9,500 babies in nurseries cared for via telemedicine, there was a 32% drop in antibiotic use, helping to ensure their growing bodies will better be armed to fight things like diabetes, eczema, and asthma. UT Health San Antonio just got the green light from the National Institutes of Health to expand this program to all of Texas. And as we speak, they're reaching out to newborn nurseries in the Panhandle and Rio Grande Valley in West Texas, in rural and underserved areas, making sure that all Texas babies can benefit. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
Another live look outside with live cam. Cool, 88 degrees. Not really, but compared to what we've been dealing with all summer, it's cool.
I'll take it, especially compared to what we had in July when all but 2 days were triple digits. Today, not a triple digit day, right near 90, our high temperature. And the average high, by the way, 95. The record's above 100 for today. 92 is the high in Pleasanton. Check out Uvalde, 86 the high, along with Gonzales. Not what we're accustomed to so far this summer, but I do foresee temperatures rising a little bit. We'll talk about when we'll get back well into the 90s in just a bit, and talk more about our rain chances coming up.
All right, beautiful rain yesterday. Hoping we got some more chances, Adam Cask.
We do have more chances, or as I like to call them right now, opportunities.
Okay.
More opportunities, right? We do have more opportunities, but I really think yesterday really was our best opportunity and our best chance with the best coverage across South and Central Texas and even Bexar County. I mean, some portions of Bexar County picked up nearly 2 inches of rain. So more rain chances or opportunities ahead, but best coverage yesterday, and high temperatures staying under 100 degrees. We're still second place at 58 100-degree days so far this year, just one away from the all-time record. Hey, speaking of rainfall, take a look at this. This is a rain gauge from the east side of San Antonio, just outside of 410, and that's about an inch in that neighborhood rain gauge. So it's good to see that. Actually, 3/4 of an inch is what that is. It's hard to see exactly where that meniscus is located. I said that for Myra. I knew she'd like the meniscus talk. Anyway. Other area rainfall accumulations, of course, big difference all across our area. Pearsall about 1/2 inch, but Kennedy over 2 inches. Hallettsville just under an inch. Cuero nearly 2 inches. You get to Selma about 1/2 inch. Elmendorf 1.57. Floresville 3 inches of rainfall. And what's nice to see is the rain in the aquifer recharge and drainage zone off to the north of us. So I know the aquifer was down 0.2 of a foot today, but it's still likely to climb a bit. I'm shocked that it was down today, but maybe there's some pumping going on. I don't know. But either way, Bernie nearly 1.5 inches, Spring Branch 1.54, and Stone Oak about 1/2 inch, right on the recharge zone and the drainage zone. A few extra showers have recently popped up on the radar screen. Notice not a lot, but a little bit. One down near Campbellton. This had a little bit of lightning and thunder associated with it briefly. One downpour right along 37 and just west of it there. And then you get to I-35 and LaSalle County, some highly isolated little pop-ups just west of San Antonio. We've got a few little pop-ups as well, just north of Highway 90, particularly outside of Sabinal. But that's about it. We had a few light showers move through San Antonio earlier today. Here's the big picture, and still monsoonal moisture, desert southwest. Deep tropical moisture that we had in Dallas-Fort Worth area and East Texas, now through Louisiana and especially into Mississippi and even the panhandle of Florida soon. We still have this boundary overhead, this stalled frontal boundary, but it's starting to wash out, and that's kind of chipping away at our confidence to see as much rainfall. I still think we'll have some isolated to widely separated showers and storms in the days ahead, Wednesday and Thursday, but it's about 30 to 40% coverage across our area, and then that rain chances drop a little bit into the weekend. Just a few isolated afternoon, typical pop-up rogue showers. Let's talk temperatures, though. 89, dew point is 70. So we feel that stickiness in the air. Castroville's 91, Bandera 85, Pleasanton, you're 88. For the most part, 80s and 90s. Rock Springs an exception at 79, but you look at our trend here going through the weekend and into next week, mid-90s is about the warmest we'll get. Sunday, 95. That's the hottest temperature we have in the 7-day forecast. Sticky humidity, dew points in the 70s. Dewies are up there, mostly mid-70s. And this is the kind of weather pattern, especially after rain, we don't see a big drop off in the afternoon. I mean, tomorrow, morning dew points in the low 70s, then only dropping down into the mid-upper 60s into the afternoon if we're lucky. So very sticky outside in terms of humidity. 75 in the morning, 83 at noon, then 88 the high temperature, right near 89, 90 the high all across our area. Into the weekend, it will still be humid, but a little bit warmer back into the 90s. And keep in mind, the average high now is in the mid-90s.
Okay. Good to be average, I guess.
In case you missed it, coming up next. Here's today's In Case You Missed It. It is Tuesday, August 23rd.
A student at Texas State University is now tested positive for monkeypox. The university says the student lives off campus and they are in isolation.
University officials say they are now working to identify close contacts, but say the risk remains low. Here in San Antonio, the number of cases remains at 24. You can read more about the virus and prevention at KSAT.com.
San Antonio police are trying to draw out whatever information they can about a late-night shooting. They say that 42-year-old man had been riding in a pickup with his twin brother when someone took aim at them with a gun around 11:30 last night. That shooter, according to officers at the scene, fired several shots into the pickup. One of them hit the victim, a passenger, in the back of his neck. The shooter was able to get away and so far has not been caught.
The New York Times now reporting the federal government recovered more than 300 classified documents from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in the last year. Some of the documents are reportedly from the CIA, National Security Agency, and FBI, all stored at Trump's Florida home. Some of the documents seized reportedly had the highest level of classification.
The longest standing public housing in San Antonio will be getting an upgrade, and is now up to the community to decide what happens next at the Alazan Apache Courts. The design firm hired by the local housing authority has released 4 new designs, and the design firm says they are looking for community feedback by means of a survey that will run through September 9th. And you can find that survey and get a closer look at the design plans right now on our website at KSAT.com.
I do think we could have some widely separated showers popping up around the morning commute tomorrow, so something to keep in mind. And of course, we'll have the latest on GMSA in the morning to keep you updated. Then into the afternoon, just an isolated shower or two. And high temperatures, upper 80s, about 90 degrees tomorrow. Some sunshine mixed in. Pretty much a carbon copy into Thursday, then mid-90s by the weekend.
Thank you, Adam. And thank you for watching the news at 6.
See you back here for the Night Beat tonight at 10.